Let me ask you something. How much did you spend on takeaway last month? Go on, have a guess. Most people I ask are off by 30, 40, sometimes 50%. We think we're more on top of our money than we actually are. And that gap between what we think and what's real is exactly where financial stress lives. Now, there's a whole category of apps that claim to fix this. AI-powered budgeting tools. They connect to your bank, watch every transaction, and supposedly give you a cleaner picture of your finances than any spreadsheet ever could. The marketing is very good. The promises are even better. So today, we're going to stress test those promises. What can these tools actually do? Where do they fall short? And for a UK user in 2026, are any of them genuinely worth your time?
Before we review anything, let's be precise about what we mean by AI budgeting, because the word AI is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this space. At the basic end, you have apps that simply connect to your bank via open banking, which is a UK regulation that lets third-party apps read your transaction data securely, and then automatically categorize your spending. Groceries here, subscriptions there, eating out over here. That's not really AI. That's pattern matching and merchant lookup tables. It's useful, but it's not intelligent. The more advanced tools, and this is where things get interesting, are starting to do something closer to genuine analysis. They learn from your corrections. So if it keeps miscategorizing your gym direct debit as health and beauty, you correct it once and it updates across your history. They flag anomalies. If you usually spend £60 a month on electricity and suddenly it's £140, it notices. Some are also beginning to connect your spending to your actual goals. Not just you spent £200 on restaurants, but at this rate, you'll hit your holiday savings target 3 months late. That's a genuinely different type of insight. And then there's a third tier, tools that are starting to use conversational AI, where you can ask questions in plain English. Is my dining spend affecting my savings rate? And get back an actual answer based on your data. So the tools exist on a spectrum, and where a specific app sits on that spectrum matters a lot when we're evaluating it.
Now, most reviews of budgeting apps you'll find online are American. Monarch Money, Copilot, Rocket Money, these are the names that dominate the coverage, and they're genuinely good products. But they're built for the US financial system. They connect to US banks. Some don't support UK institutions at all. So we're going to focus on what actually works here. Emma is probably the most well-known AI-adjacent budgeting app built for the UK market. It connects via open banking to virtually every major UK bank: Barclays, HSBC, Nationwide, Monzo, Starling, the lot. You get a single dashboard view of all your accounts, automatic spending categorization, subscription tracking, and net worth tracking if you connect savings and investments too. The free tier is genuinely useful. Premium starts at around £5 a month and unlocks more granular analytics and custom categories. The AI here is mostly in the categorization layer. It's not going to have a conversation with you about your finances. But for a clean, consolidated view of where your money actually goes, it does the job. Snoop is the best free-only option in the UK right now. It connects to your accounts, gives you spending alerts, and focuses heavily on finding you savings, spotting that you could be on a cheaper energy tariff or that a competitor is cheaper for your broadband. It's less about deep analysis and more about finding low-hanging fruit in your bills. The AI is essentially a recommendation engine rather than a financial analyst, but for people who haven't optimized their household bills in a while, that can be genuinely valuable.
Plum takes a different angle, less about telling you where your money went, more about moving money automatically. It analyzes your spending patterns and auto-saves amounts you theoretically won't miss. A bit like a digital version of the old trick of setting up a standing order to savings the day after payday. Plum has also built out into investing, so you can route some of those autosaves into a stocks and shares ISA. It's a genuinely interesting product, though the line between budgeting app and investment platform is getting blurry. Monzo is worth mentioning because so many people already use it. Monzo's built-in budgeting features, spending targets by category, salary sorting into pots, round-up savings, are solid. The advantage is there's no integration step. The disadvantage is it only tracks your Monzo spending. If you've got a credit card elsewhere or savings at a different bank, it can't see it. Nova Money, a newer entrant worth flagging. Nova Money takes a forward-looking approach. Rather than just tracking past spending, it focuses on financial forecasting. Set your savings goals first, and the app's AI calculates what you can afford to spend. A reverse budgeting model. Still building its user base, but the philosophy is interesting.
Now let's talk about what these tools can't do, because I think this is where most people get disappointed. Limitation 1. Categorization is still imperfect. Every one of these apps gets categories wrong. Not always, but enough to be annoying. A meal delivery from Deliveroo might be filed under shopping instead of eating out. A charity direct debit might appear as a subscription. Some transactions at small businesses just show up as a string of letters and a sort code, and the app has no idea what it is. This matters because if the categorization isn't right, the insights aren't right. Garbage in, garbage out. Most apps let you correct categories, and the better ones learn from corrections, but it requires manual effort, which defeats part of the point. Limitation 2. They track the past, not the future. The most powerful thing a budgeting tool could do is help you make better decisions before you spend. But the vast majority of these apps are backward-looking. They tell you what you did. They're less useful at telling you what you should do next. Nova Money is trying to change this with forecasting. Some premium tiers in Emma and others give you goal projections, but we're still largely in financial rearview mirror territory with most of these tools.
Limitation 3. They don't understand context. An AI budgeting app sees a transaction for £800 at a furniture shop and flags it as unusual spending. What it doesn't know is that you moved house this month. It sees a drop in your restaurant spending and registers it as progress on your dining budget. It doesn't know you were ill for 2 weeks. Personal finance is personal. Life is contextual. These tools are, at their core, pattern matching engines, and patterns break down whenever something changes. The best ones are getting better at asking you why, but there's a long way to go. Limitation 4. The data security question. All of these tools access your bank data via open banking APIs, which means read-only access. They can see your transactions, but they cannot move your money. That's an important distinction. That said, you are sharing detailed financial data with a third party. These apps are regulated by the FCA. Your bank-level credentials don't touch the app's servers, but you're trusting a startup with information about where you shop, what you earn, and how much debt you carry. That's worth pausing on before you sign up for every one of them.
Here's something worth being honest about. And it applies to budgeting apps the same way it applies to gym memberships. The tool is not the result. The behavior is the result. The best budgeting app in the world, installed and then ignored, does nothing for your finances. YNAB, the zero-based budgeting app that's been around for years, reports that people who stick with it save an average of £500 in their first 2 months. That's a meaningful number, but the key phrase is who stick with it. Most people download a budgeting app, connect their accounts, look at the dashboard, feel vaguely guilty about their takeaway spending, and check back in 3 weeks later when they've already forgotten the password. There's a reason the most effective budgeting tool for many people isn't an AI app at all. It's the old-fashioned approach of being paid and immediately moving savings and bills money into separate accounts before you can spend it. Plum is trying to automate this instinct. Monzo's salary sorting feature does a version of it. The concept isn't new. The question is whether the AI wrapper makes it stickier. Some evidence suggests it does. Automated savings nudges, anomaly alerts, visual spending breakdowns, these small friction points can change behavior at the margin. But they're not magic, and no algorithm is going to fix a spending problem that's rooted in something emotional or psychological.
So, do AI budgeting tools work? Honest answer, they work better than nothing, and they work less well than the marketing suggests. If you have no idea where your money goes each month, connecting Emma or Snoop and spending 20 minutes a week reviewing your categories will almost certainly change something. The act of looking,
of making spending visible has a documented effect on behavior. That's not nothing. If you already have a spreadsheet, a clear system, and genuine engagement with your finances, these tools will probably add marginal value at best. The AI is doing work you're already doing manually and doing it with less context than you have about your own life. Where I think these tools genuinely earn their place is in the middle. The people who intend to budget, who care about their finances, but who lack a system. That is, honestly, most people. For that group, a well-configured Emma or Plum checked weekly is a real upgrade on a vague sense of unease about their bank balance. What I'd push back on is the idea that these tools are transformative in themselves. The AI layer is genuinely improving. Categorization is getting better, forecasting is being added, conversational interfaces are coming. But right now, in 2026, most of these apps are intelligent dashboards rather than intelligent advisors. The gap between what they are and what the word AI implies is still real. And I think it's worth being clear-eyed about that, so you go in with the right expectations.
If you're going to try one of these, and I do think it's worth trying at least one, here's where I'd start. If you want a free, consolidated view of your spending across all your accounts, Emma. If you want bill-cutting recommendations without paying anything, Snoop. If you want automated saving without thinking about it, Plum. If you're already using Monzo as your main account and don't want another app, lean into the budgeting features you already have. And whichever one you choose, actually look at it. Once a week, 10 minutes. That's the habit that makes the tool worth anything. If this was useful, subscribe. We do this kind of thing for UK personal finance and investing every week without the hype. And if you've tried one of these apps and have a view on it, drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what's working for people. See you in the next one.